and something nice to have there. You know, so in hindsight, you know, built-wise, it was good build quality, but we probably missed the mark a wee bit in terms of that community engagement. Robertson Street, now this is our latest site. Went to the opening the other day on Friday. This is right on the corner, for those of you that know Christchurch, it's in Riccarton, right by Riccarton Mall. So it's right on the corner, Fox and Ferret's across the road, so it's smack bam in the middle of where things are really happening. And it's basically, again, a pocket park, but it's a lot more urban. It's a place for people to go and eat their lunch, because there's heaps of businesses still going on, and it's just used all the time, which is fantastic. Probably one of the unique things about this too is we've got community artists engaged. And Tess Sheeran drew this, or painted this Hope Bear sculpture, and it's, you know, it's probably 12 metres high, and it took her ages, and it's just really, it's just got that little bit of urban edge about it, which again, for completely the opposite reason to probably the community garden, just gets that urban engagement. People drive past and go, wow, that's really cool, and you drag a whole lot, a different type of person in that just stands there for ages, you know, that sort of urban, that funkiness, you know, that Christchurch wasn't really that well known for beforehand. There's certainly no Wellington or things like that, but, you know, they're here, and they're starting to see these things appear, and it's something that gap filler, you know, really keen to leverage off as well. Really quick build time, in the context of all those other ones, so we got crazy golf and some things like that. So. But one of the real kickers is this has just been finished, you know, a few days ago, and that's when it comes down. So January it's gone, you know, so again you kind of get a bit deflated about some of these things. All of this stuff is prefabricated, all of this stuff is picked up from other sites. The planters, the seeds, just the whole girdle. That's definitely one of the big things about how we've done it. And it's across the board. It's just been a lot of hard work. A lot of communication, you know, talking about community engagement, how you engage with the community. I'm not a Facebook fan. I still like phone calls and, you know, those archaic email things. You know, if I want to get in touch with someone, I just ring. It's weird, I know, but massive for communication. Print media, really slippery deal to keep a hold of. You know, you sit there and you have a talk with them about a site, and then you can read it and go, how did that happen? You know, and people get left out, and yeah, my frustrations. And the volunteer database is a massive thing, like I said before. We've got a dedicated volunteer person who just deals with communication. There's a site coming up in XYZ, who wants to be involved? Or even better, they've got the address, hey, there's a site coming up around the corner from your house. You know, we need someone to do some water. You know, so there's a number of levels that people are being contacted. And of course, we get so many people on Facebook saying, never even heard about it, looks real funky, sign me up. You know, and that's just, that's fantastic. So social media is definitely the way to go. Massive amounts of goodwill. Landowners are obviously probably the obvious ones. You know, volunteers. Time is, as you know, we all know, is money and is income, and these people are just pouring so much time into the process. These guys, you know, just time. You know, consultancies are giving, you know, my time for design critiques is all. The company just says, just go and do it. You know, and Becca's not the only one. We've got people like Opus who keep rolling out input, you know, so there's people that are really supporting us in that way. Material suppliers that I mentioned before. Bryford Trailers, you know, our project coordinator was driving down the road the other day, sort of muttering away to himself about hiring trailers. He drove past Bryford Trailers yard, which is, you know, a trailer manufacturer. Just went in there and said, look man, I'm getting sick of it. And the guy just said, there's a trailer over there, just take it. Just for however long you need it. You know, it's $2.5 grand worth of trailer. Took a trailer, all the gears. I was a bit jealous. Might try it at home, you know, just walk off the street and say, oh, I got a trailer. That would work. Site appraisal started to become a really big thing. Actually having more sites than what you know what to do with, and actually having to measure them against. Because at the start it was basically grab a site, because we didn't think we were going to do 2. And we thought, just get 1 and it should all be over. And then you get 12, and you have to, and then some of them start really pushing the envelope in terms of your principles and what you're trying to achieve. And you actually have to get your act together. And this is really where the board started to, the need for the board and that governance and that strategic direction came in. That's definitely a work in progress. Landowner agreements is another big one. You know, we started off with a really lopsided agreement where basically they could do whatever they want, we couldn't really do much. So that was sort of a work in progress, and it's got to the point now where we've got more lead in time for demo. You know, they can't just ring us and say, get it off tomorrow. That did happen in the You know, it hasn't always been perfect, and it's not a. I don't think it's actually a model. There's no model. You just go for it. You know, you just find it and follow it. You know, just keep the energy up and know those key people. And you know, obviously, as time goes on, those ins become common. Some of them are common. But I'm just a huge fan of just going and talking to people. Physical presence is massive. The amount of people on the ASCO site, Victoria Green, that walked past when we were doing stuff, whether it was weeding or doing the site set out, said, "What are you doing?" "Oh, we're building a park. I live down the road, can I get my gumboots?" You know, it happens all the time, and so presence. You know, I think we get a bit caught up sometimes in sort of structures or formalised avenues for communication. Present. Doing things on a site and having things on a site is massive. I think it's the best possible avenue for community engagement, because if it plugs someone interest up, they'll go looking for it. You know, and if your sign's big enough and it sticks in their head, they'll go looking for it. All it takes is a Google search. You know, if you search greening, usually you just get greening in, and greening the rubble is the first thing that comes up. You know, on a Google search, which is just, you know, that's all you need now. Again, that volunteer mobilisation is a massive thing. Getting the right people helping. We've got just the core of those 100. We've probably got about 12 that have just started to really click. They're really go-to people, and they just put their hands up, and they don't fluff around. You know, they go and they know the things that need to be done by people that need to know what they're doing. You know, whether it be boxing or laying, and they let the other volunteers just go nuts with the rest of it. You know, there's things that don't matter so much. And that's where you can get to walk off the streets. What can I do? Oh, mate, just go and sow those wildflower seeds, or you know, roll out that ready, you know, or make feel fancy. Fill that gabion up, you know. But sit out and those sorts of things. Better to have someone that's kind of, you know, knows the law from that. But in terms of where we're going, structurally, I mean, the trust is probably the biggest thing that started to happen for greening. Inevitably, this starts to creep in. And I don't think it's a surprise that it started to creep in when the money turned up, because people start wanting you to report. You know, whereas before they were quite happy when the spotlight, you know, when the spotlight's over here, and it's, you know, it's like Lord of the Rings, you know, the big all-seeing eyes looking at the council and they're sort of doing their thing, and Sarah, and you're over here just getting stuff done, and then all of a sudden, you know, go. And you know, and the money turns up, in the structure. So we're dealing with that at the moment. And I think we're doing it quite well, but you know, it's still a work in progress. Portfolios. Funding. As I mentioned, City Council have dialed in, you know, and they've been generous. The kicker for us is the 4 avenues. And alternative funding, we're chasing. I won't tell you who we're chasing, because you might start chasing them too, and then there's that chance. But no, any opportunity for funding, we'll take, as a board, we'll take any opportunity for funding stream, but we'll always look at it and look where that funding's come from and measure it back against what our objectives are and who we are as an organisation. Because sometimes it doesn't always fit, or sometimes the conditions for that funding don't fit with what we're about. You know, there might be a level of control or things like that. Huge. Just can't underestimate partnerships. As Cobus mentioned before, the guys and girls with the keys to the doors, particularly in councils, I think are just absolutely essential. You know, don't retreat from road barriers, as Cobus mentioned. I'm not sure that's how you put Cobus, but it meant the same thing. You know, don't shy away from it. Don't be scared to go around it though. You know, because you can just beat your head against the wall, and if you can find that person that you know that you've got, you know, a common point of interest, get hold of it. And it's usually a local politician who's, you know, got an election coming up or something. Geographic spread. 4 avenues versus the suburban Christchurch. This is going to be a massive shift for us, I think, personally. And lifespan. You know, what is that? Temporary when we started was, you know, a month. Temporary now can be anything from a couple of months right through to, you know, we've got sites that have been on the ground for over a year now. What is our lifespan? What is Greening the Rubble's lifespan as an organisation? You know, where do we go? What happens once the dust kind of really settles? What do we grow into? Do we just go, it's been fantastic, you know, it's been a blast, and then just wind it up, you know, or do we morph into something different? think it'll probably be the latter. Most of us have got our time. These are the real challenges. That one there is a massive one. You know, I've got a colleague that got in his car the other day. Well, actually not his colleague. He's not a colleague. He's actually a lecturer at CQIT who I trained my gun dog with. He got quite a resilient fellow, about 55, like shooting shotguns, you know, all the stereotypical Kennedy male. Got in his car the other day, couldn't go to work. And he said, I don't know why, but I just rang him and said I couldn't go to work. And what had happened was that he'd lost the energy, you know, and that was how many, you know, how long after the earthquake. And this is the reality of what's happening in Christchurch. It's just hitting some people now, you know, and it's hitting guys a lot now because, you know, bloody EQC, get your driveway built, and then once the dust settles and you get a bit of time to breathe, a bit of downtime, boom. So there's the energy coming in. But flogging the same horse has got to be really careful about just keep cracking the whip. Growing up again, we're always growing. Again, this is health and safety. You know, we're responsible for volunteers on our sites now. Came with the money, it was all under Christchurch City Council and Living Streets. Now that we start to grab our own identity, it becomes our responsibility. Massive communication. Sometimes we drop the ball. You know, we're not communication experts. You've just got to be tenacious, I think, in terms of communication. Sometimes he screams the loudest. We all know about relationships. We all know about personalities. We all know it comes down to who you know. You know, and the relationships that you've got with those people, and we find that just being genuine. You know, and that came a lot out of